Hello, I'm Ian and this is Somerset News Network. Sad day for Catholics today. Pope's funeral, mass service in the Vatican in St. Peter's Square in Rome. And all the world leaders were there. Trump and Starmer and Macron and Lazinski, Ukrainian leader. And there's a photograph of them all together. I tried to download it, but it's copyrighted, so that's one of those things. I'm Protestant, Church of England, right? When I was a kid, we used to go to a Baptist church. It was a little stone building, and it's ancient. I think it was built in the 1750s, this little church. There was like a garage underneath where they used to keep the carts and everything, and then a little hall at the top. It was about 30 foot long and about 20 foot wide, that's all. You'd only get about 50 or 60 people in there. And there used to be, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 people in there at a time for a Sunday church service. They had a pedal organ that sounded out of tune. It was basic evangelical church. It was Plymouth Brethren in its early days, and I don't know what sect of Protestantism it was, but it was a chapel. And the preacher was fire and brimstone stuff. And I used to be scared. I used to go home shaking. Don't know what he was talking about, but it was fire and brimstone stuff. Then we had a Sunday school. We used to go to a lady's house. She had a conservatory that she turned into a little Sunday school for the kids. But I'm not religious. I'm Christian, but I'm a relaxed Christian, if you know what I mean. Baptist Church of England. But I'm not anti-religion. You know, is there a God? I don't know. If you believe there's a God, it's up to you. I don't know there's a God, but I'll pray to a God in case he's there. That's what I think. I'm relaxed on religion. I see the Bible as a guidebook for life. Now, the Bible was allegedly written by the disciples, the New Testament. The Old Testament was written by Moses and the Jews. So you've got the Old Testament and the New Testament. The New Testament is the saints, John, Paul, Luke and John. But my problem is, as you go through life, you hear stories, is the Roman Catholic Church took over Christianity. So they went from having an empire on the Roman Empire to having a pope that ruled the Catholic Church. But they met and they decided which chapters of the Bible, which Gospels would be in the Bible. And they disregarded others. So the Bible has been edited. And they tell us that the Bible is the Word of God. But it's an edited version of the Word of God. Because if they've removed stuff, what did they remove? I don't know. They found that Mary Magdalene had a gospel of her own. Well, what does that say? I saw a Facebook post yesterday that said the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and it was trying to explain it. It went over the top of my head, I'm afraid. And then we wrote the Bible in English, and we used the James the First Bible. James the First got the scholars together, and they got the Greek, the Latin, and which be Hebrew, and they translated it, the Bible, into English, so it was the closest thing you get to all the rest of the churches. Because you had the Roman Catholic Church, then you got the Orthodox Church of Greece and the Orthodox Church of Rome. All Christianity. So the thing is, they rewrote the Bible in the 1200s, saying what would be in it and what wouldn't be in it. They re-edited the Bible into English under James the First, which is the Bible that we use. So is it truly now still the Word of God? I don't know. I pose the question. I'm not going to argue with the point. I see the Bible as a guidebook to life. I'm not going to say, that's it, that's all it is, there's nothing else. But there's things in the Bible that help you understand humanity. It's got the 10 Commandments in it, which are basically the first 10 laws. Shall not kill, shall not go out with your neighbour's wife, shan't steal, shan't bear false witness. And that's the rules, biblical law. That was then made into English law. That you couldn't kill somebody, you couldn't steal, you couldn't tell lies. And we've still got that today. But I'd like to read some of the other stuff, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, were the first writings of the original Bible. I'd like to see the English version of those and read them and see how they differ. Because I think the Bible that we use, the King James Bible, is an edited version of the original. It's close. And then you've got all these other Bibles now that are edited from the James version of Bible. So passages may have slightly different twists on it. But I come back to the point that the Bible is a guidebook. A guidebook to do good. A guidebook to look after your fellow man. And that's my take on the Bible. So the Pope's funeral was today. I was brought up on stories of how bad the Catholics were. I'm a Somerset lad. And we did the Pitchfork Rebellion, my ancestors. They didn't like the tyranny of James II. So we had a battle in Sedgemoor in 1685 and lost. And they scattered. And they tell the story that my local church, Chickenham Church, is that one of the king's men chased one of the Somerset men, Monmouth Rebellion army, into the church. He took sanction there. And there's a dent in the church, in the oak door. And that's said to be from a king's musket ball. I don't know. That's the story that they tell. Anyway. This is Ian. I've talked for long enough. It was just a, passing thoughts, as we say. But we'll be back to more serious stuff next time. Bye-bye.